From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow, of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
Hey guys, Boston Chris here, and you're tuned in to the #1 resource for independent music in Northeast Texas. It's the ETX Rock Show, and this is an episode of Catching Up. Now, as you guys might know, whenever we have a return guest on the show, here in Season 3, we have started calling that Catching Up. I know, pretty catchy. But man, we have a huge treat for y'all. Back in Season 1, we featured This Intangible Existence, a.k.a. Terrell Brindley.
Yeah.
And this is actually my first opportunity to interview you. I'm really excited about that. Man, honestly, you are one of the most inspirational and passionate people I've ever met. And I'm excited to have you back. I know you have a lot of stuff going on in your career and your life. And I want to kind of touch on all of that stuff that you have going on. You just bought a brand new piano.
I did. It's like probably the most minor thing, but if you're a piano player and
that's not minor at
I know.
all, man.
I mean, it's like I'm making payments, man. And so,
right.
But yeah, it's one of those things that I've always just wanted, and of course, as a piano player,
right.
And it's not like when you're a guitarist and you can just go out and drop $500 bucks.
Yeah,
it's just not the same thing. So.
Yeah, it's not at all. And I mean, you guys out there who are following the show, there are a few of y'all that watch every episode, and I definitely thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah.
But we've had very few keyboardists, piano players, pianists, whatever you want to call them, here on the show. I think you're maybe one of 3 or 4 that we've ever had.
Cool, yeah.
Which is always neat. And I know we talked a little bit about that in the first episode, how that really kind of sets you apart from typical everyday singer-songwriters. And of course, y'all can probably see the keyboard sitting off to the side, so you know that he's going to play today.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not sitting off to the side, my director tells me.
Yeah.
But it's over there.
Yeah.
You can't see it. It is that way. But he is going to play a couple songs, and the first one is a song that he's pretty well known for. It's called The River Hymn.
Yeah.
We're really excited to feature the song.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the story behind it.
It's special. It really is. It showed up at a time in my life whenever I was just in a really different place at that point, and I was sitting outside my grandma's house in Louisiana, and oddly enough, I ran across, there was a dead cardinal in the middle of the yard, and I was just kind of wandering around, and I saw it, and I just started like pulling together these lyrics away from the piano. She has piano there, but these lyrics just started to kind of come up, and by the time I drove back to Texas, because she's in Louisiana,
Right.
I put the lyrics and the melody that I just made up in my head to the piano, and it just started to develop, and it took probably about a year and a half before it was solid, but it really just started to push my music in a different direction. The single that came out before that was Calling Out Your Name, and I was already kind of going in a different direction, but this song I really feel like my audience really responded to.
Yeah, and it's so different than the songs you performed on the show a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Ode to Mars and Flamingo Fandango, which was very upbeat, very cool vibe. This is more laid back. It's more inspirational. It pulls people in more, I think. I love it. And I think the evolution of you as an artist is crazy good.
Thank you.
You know that, right?
I appreciate you saying that. It's been difficult, man. It's just been, a lot of it too, I've been recording a lot, over the past few years, since 2013 on a regular basis. And it's really, when you start, recording professionally, you realize what's you know, you hear yourself back all consistently because you're listening to your own stuff, and and I feel like it just pulls you in a different direction because you want to do something different, you want to do something new, and you know, along with that, you know, my spiritual life has changed a little bit over the past few years, and I've wanted to sing more about the Lord, and but stay relevant to an entire audience.
Yeah, and that's going to be a struggle. And we're definitely going to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff to throw at you today. Okay. I'm excited about it. But first, you guys need to check out this live version of the River Hymn right here in the ETX Rocks living room from This Intangible Existence. And Miriam's on this song as well.
Miriam's going to sing with me.
And so we'll introduce her as well after the song. So y'all check it out. It's the River Hymn. All right, so we are back again. It's episode 10 of Catching Up. We have This Intangible Existence here. I have to remind everybody, if you want to know more about this guy, look up his first episode here on the show. It's very informative about his background, his songwriting process, and stuff like that. We're just going to try to maybe wrap that up a little bit more and get more in depth on what makes this guy tick, because he's very interesting. There's a lot of layers to you for sure. I opened the show by saying you're an inspirational guy, you're very passionate, and I think when people have passion like you and I do, we always just kind of gravitate towards that person. Yeah. And you and I have always had a really cool relationship, even though you're in Houston, I'm in Longview. Yeah. You've done shows for us in the past. Featured The Painter, which was an incredible episode, and of course Kelly Zawern, who, oh my God, I mean, guys, check those episodes out as well. But he's a great interviewer too, and you'll see that in that. I hope we'll get more stuff from you in the future. But let's talk more about the intricacies of music, because it's changed for you over the years. You mentioned you grew up in Louisiana. I believe you're classically trained. You've got a lot of schooling involved in what you do. I guess the first question I really want to throw at you is the piano can be viewed as an instrument that just kind of maybe accessorizes music a lot of times. It's just an extra piece. But that's not what you do with it. You use it as your main instrument, and you're bringing back some of that music that was big, like Harry Connick Jr., Norah Jones, people like that were using the keys as the main instrument.
Yeah.
How do you kind of get over that hump of people just maybe viewing the piano as just an accessory piece?
Well, I think in the East Texas music scene, what you're talking about is incredibly prevalent.
Yeah.
But for me, especially like growing up in the church, the piano is the centerpiece. The piano is the instrument.
It's definitely different in the church. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me coming into a singer-songwriter section of music and trying to reach an audience in just everyday listening. I mean, I don't see why it's always been like that. I think there's probably something about the guitar being portable,
right?
And the piano is you have to like lug all this equipment around. But I mean,
you can't strap it to your back either,
unless you're playing a guitar. But but the piano. It has a long history in humanity, and it reaches so
longer
far
than the guitar, I might add. Yeah.
Hey, who knows? But and I love that about it, and especially since I just recently got an actual living piano, it's like there's so much alive about it. It's an actual music box, man. So it's just one of my favorite instruments, preferred.
Do you feel as a creator now that the piano just allows you to reach past boundaries that a guitar can't get to?
It totally does. And nothing against any guitar player, because there's definitely things that I wish I had in the piano,
right,
like with the guitar.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the piano, you can create a space that other people, other singer-songwriter style instruments cannot even get to. I mean, you have the bass in one hand and the treble in the other one, so you can create a whole world, and it surpasses genre as well too. I mean, so I think that there's an extreme amount of versatility in the instrument, and it's just such a blessing to be able to be raised up in the instrument the way that I have, and really get to know it and just be able to speak from it. So,
and you talked about being raised up in the instrument. I think that's a really good way of putting that. Through that raising, was there ever moments in time in your mind where you're just like, man, I can't get this. Like, I don't see where this is going. Was there that kind of struggle internally?
It never got to the point where I didn't think I was getting it. There was definitely a time when I was a kid where I didn't want to practice.
Yeah.
But there came up probably by the time I was in high school, whenever it was like the light went off and I got it. And I just kind of knew what I was doing at that point. And so I would say no. The answer is no to that. It's always been something. Whenever I started piano lessons, I just knew that I wanted to do it. And most kids would be like, "Oh, I gotta go to piano lessons," like it's a drudgery. But
all those outside distractions can be really terrifying as well. If you're really passionate about one certain thing and you have 2 or 3 other things that are trying to get your attention, that can be a pretty scary process as well. I mean, I'll jump all over the place, from video games to sports to doing the podcast or whatever.
Yeah, and when you're a kid, it's so you don't even know. I didn't know. I mean, I was doing music in church, just singing, and I liked doing that. And it was almost like whenever I was playing the piano and learning, it was just like, this is just something that I do. Where now, as a singer-songwriter, indie artist, it's like, it's so much part of my brand.
Yeah, it's a difference between being this is what I do to this is what I am.
It's a lifestyle of music. It's a completely different thing, because, I mean, a lot of people pick up the instrument by ear and stuff, but, there's so much, like, with music that you can dig into and, sort things out and scores and stuff like that. And, it's just a lot of fun. And I think that's what I love about the instrument, is that it is a little bit separate from that. Just every day I learned to play guitar when I was young, kind of thing. Yeah. And, not everybody has access to a piano either. Absolutely, because they're just inherently more.
And I think what's really neat about you, too, is you're very much so a content-based singer-songwriter. Not so much, what I mean by that is not so much being a live performer. You're more focused on, writing, performing, recording, getting stuff out. Your blog is phenomenal. Your web pages that you run are incredible. You find time to support other artists. things like that. Whereas, you know, a lot of people in Texas are really spending a lot of time and energy on performing.
The grind, man. Yeah,
you know, just traveling and being on the road and playing in front of a different bar every single night. And, you know, that can zap your creativity sometimes. Yeah. But I know you also do perform live in the church scene and stuff like that. So, you know, I know you're a very strategic-based individual, so there has to be strategy there. Tell me what that is.
Yeah. So, I mean, lately, you know, with the way that the industry has changed, you know, releasing content, I know we were talking about this before the show started, the importance of releasing content on a regular basis is part of existing in the digital music era. And I think that for what I've been doing, recording biannually in the spring and in the fall, it's allowed me to keep my audience engaged, because honestly, I love a live show. I love to hear people perform live, but whereas music mainly, it's in my car, it's in my earbuds, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's like that for everybody. And that's really where I want to be. Like, I want to connect with people in their head. I want them to find this interview and just be like, oh, I'm interested in this artist right now, and to really experience the completion of the artist, not just I was, you know, at the bar, we had a really good time, there was good music. Yeah. You know, because it becomes an accessory to like a good time, or an accessory to an evening out.
That's right.
And I think music's way more than that.
I think that's very smart too, because I know when we've interviewed hundreds of people on the show, and a lot of the struggle and frustration with a lot of artists is, man, we perform live and nobody shows up. Yeah. Or they'll be, you know, pretty disenfranchised by someone going live, or someone recording their songs, and they're taken away from that live experience by putting that on Facebook Live or something like that. And that's a struggle for, you know, a touring musician. You've taken that completely out. You control your own content. You're releasing your own stuff, your own live videos. Nobody else can do that. Right. So really, you're in control of everything you do. Yeah. I think that's brilliant, man. It's being able to see the changes in the industry, the changes not just in the industry, but in people's attention spans nowadays.
Exactly.
And you work to that, to your advantage. Thank you. And I think there's a difference between having, you know, 100,000 people that like your page,
definitely,
but won't listen to you ever, as opposed to having 200 or 300 likes where everybody is waiting for that next song, and they're actually going to click and they're going to be activated.
I agree. I totally agree. And you know, I encourage all of my peers, my musical peers, to make sure that they are like, it's the internet is part of being in the music scene. If you're not online, you know this better than I do. Even it's just like, if you're not online, you're missing out. And I don't think there's anything wrong with gigging out. It's just, it's something that, you know, I have a real job, man. Like, I have a real life, and I have real friends, and not that these other people don't, but you know, that I need to get to, that I need to move through. And I can't be caught up in the grind all day, trying to make sure I get to this gig, make sure I get this next gig, and
because when do you have time to be an artist?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And this, it's a common thing that I've told many people, is that, you know, I started doing this before I had a website, before I had multiple releases on, you know, many digital outlets. I started doing this because I'm an artist at heart. I'm a musician, and even if nobody was listening, I would still be playing in my room.
That's right.
You know, and that is really where the heart of music is. And I, you know, I would love to encourage all of your listeners, and who are artists or not, is that the element of music is the music itself. It is not the live performance. It's not the website. It's none of that stuff. It's what you're doing as an artist, and you know, it's always about quality. You know, it's always about quality, not. It's
always to me. You know, you can use metaphors for it. You know, it's like being an artist, and I'm not an artist, so I'm just gonna disclaimer this by saying that I'm not an artist, but. You know, from my experience in interviewing artists, it's just a series of bridges, man, that you're going through, and you have to cross each one in a different fashion. Yeah. You know, if you cross the same bridge the same way, you never grow.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to learn when to burn those bridges too.
Absolutely.
So,
and turn around and head back the way you came, and try to find either an easier path or something with a little more obstacles or whatever. But yeah, the metaphor is very true when it comes to art. And you know, you mentioned, you know, not being online. Some of the best songwriters I've ever met don't even have a Facebook page.
I know, yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Man?
You're not even doing it.
Who's listening to you?
Exactly.
Well, you know, I play the piano bars and I do this. And, well, no, but what you're creating is a situation where basically you're in one-night stand relationships with your fans.
Exactly.
Because you're playing at a bar, you're playing phenomenal music that you wrote. You took the time to grow those songs and, you know, the concepts behind them. Then you play them on a Friday night, and those 30 people that heard that song, that love it, have no access to
it. They can never get it. And especially with the way streaming works and the way you get paid from that and everything, it's just you're missing out on, you know, a pay opportunity, you know? I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think if you're not online, you're missing out completely, honestly.
Right.
As a music listener alone, I would say a good 98% of the music that I hear, new music that I hear, comes from the internet.
Absolutely.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And the thing is, I mean, before the internet, before social media, for an artist to cultivate a relationship with a fan was impossible. You couldn't do it.
Right.
And nowadays, the fan has to have that relationship to you in order to care about you.
I mean, this Intangible existence was in 22 different countries in 2017.
Yeah.
22 countries. You know how many different countries I've been to personally?
Probably one.
This is here. I haven't been off the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I feel
let
you.
alone,
I feel you. I feel the same way. I mean, this show reaches 191 countries.
Yeah,
Imagine
it's like, why would you want to miss out? And
somewhere in the world, this show, I am speaking Russian or Indian right now. Like somebody is listening to me speak Russian right now. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my living room.
Yeah, exactly. And so, that's one thing I love about local Houston music is that, you know, whenever it first started...
And before you go on, I want to tell folks what local Houston music... This is a web page that Terrell runs, and it's basically a way for him to showcase the amazing music that exists in the Houston area. And he takes it upon himself with no financial gain to spotlight his friends and people that he doesn't even know right there in the Houston metro area. So go on, tell folks about that.
So, you know, it was really weird. You know, the ETX Rock Show had a big part in, like, developing and cultivating what local Houston music was a few years ago when we first met. You know, it had a lot to do with interviews and blog posts and all this kind of stuff. But since then, it has grown into a type of mentorship, a type of cultivating people who haven't taken that step into...
So development,
exactly. Yeah,
that's amazing.
And so it's been really such a blessing to... You know, all these things that, you know, back in 2013 when I first started this thing, I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely no idea. And I had to jump over hurdles that I had no idea where I was going to land on the other side. And there was something nervous. It made me nervous, you know, because you're putting your art out there. You're putting your heart and soul out there. And what if somebody takes it, you know? And so luckily I've, you know, been somewhat successful, and it's just been a way for me to bring people to the same success that I've experienced. And
you're a smart guy too.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that you know you're smart. I know that.
Stop.
You don't have to. He's going to be humble, but he knows. Trust me. And I love how you take what you know, what you feel, what you are, and try to share it with other people around you. You're not being selfish. You're not just trying to keep the stuff that you've learned to yourself. You want to help people around you reach the same level and higher than even yourself.
Well, and I want to reach people with my music. And I want to make sure that I'm getting to that one person that needs that one song to get them through the day, that said exactly what it needed to say to their heart. But it's not just me that has that. It's other artists who have those one songs that, you know, Kelly's Warren is a great example.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, her music spoke to my heart on the day that I met her at the Christian Songwriters in the Round in Houston. She came in, played some music, and it was just like penetrating, you know, through my flesh, man.
And I love Kelly so much because she's so simple.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's so everyday girl.
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up too, because one thing that I like to encourage people about is to bring that raw element back to music, because don't get me wrong, I love a fully produced record. I love, you know, some lo-fi hip hop, chill hop music, but the reality is
the emotion
that
can be lost in music like that.
It can, and just trying to get through that rigmarole of trying to get that really good produced style. You know, when Kelly Zwern released Put Me On just last month, I think.
Yeah. It was only a week ago, I thought. A week and a half, something like that.
I think that was Lose It. It Put Me
On.
On.
Yeah. Lose It, yeah.
But it was, you know, it was a really raw cut of the song that was included in the Christian Songwriters in the Round compilation CD.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it because that's how I knew the song, and people can actually hear her breathing, and they can hear the life that's in the music. And I encourage all artists to not be afraid to be raw, not be afraid to be transparent in your music.
Organic.
Yeah, organic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, guys, stop trying to sound like what you hear on the radio.
Right. It doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't.
It can
have
be,
to
but there are hundreds of success stories out there of artists that don't need radio play to be who they are.
Exactly.
And, you know, don't sell out your sound just for a few spins on the radio.
Totally.
That's all I got to say about that. Because I see it happen every day, and I see the misery in an artist's eyes when they have to do that. So just be careful of how you kind of travel that road of airplay, because airplay's not where it's at anymore.
It's not. No, I mean the like, again, going back to the music that I hear, all the music that I hear that's new has been streamed from things like Spotify and YouTube. And a lot of that new music, to me, isn't necessarily new music.
Absolutely.
You know, it's music from a few years ago.
And it's funny, too, because, like, you know, back before we were born, I mean, the biggest information highway was word of mouth.
Right.
Right? Now we have the internet, social media, all of that. But really, it's still word of mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you an artist's name, like we did earlier off camera, and now you want to go look that person up.
Exactly.
And the same way, I mean, you turned us on to Kelly and The Painter. And, man, I'll tell you what, if The Painter was not part of my life right now in a musical sense, never met the guy in person, but in a musical sense, if he wasn't part of my life, I don't know who I would be right now, because literally his song Mirrors changed my life.
Yeah.
So I owe that to you
in
word of mouth.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the moral of that is, for you guys out there that are listening, word of mouth is still extremely important. And the reason why is back in the day, if I told, you know, Terrell about Waylon Jennings, he would have to find a record store or call a radio station and say, hey, I just heard about this guy named Waylon Jennings. Can you play him?
Exactly.
Today, you have instant access as soon as you hear that name. So realize the power of your voice just by telling people.
Exactly.
If you hear about a new artist, you know, scream it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let people know. So, yeah, I think people have lost the knowledge of knowing how powerful their voice is in the 21st century.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? All right, so once again, we're sitting here. It's episode 10 of Catching Up with This Intangible Existence. I know you guys are probably wagging your finger at me. You haven't asked him where he came up with that name, and I'm not gonna ask him that, because that was asked on the first episode.
Yeah, you need to go back.
So
and see
you guys
the
will
first
have to
episode.
go back.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is type in on YouTube or wherever you're listening, This Intangible Existence ETX Rocks.
Right.
And it'll come up.
Exactly.
In fact, you don't even have to watch that far. It was the first question we asked. So
Really? Yeah.
So you want to know? That's how you know. I'm not going to ask him that. Sorry.
What does it mean?
I don't know. You'll have to find out. I know what it means. Now, you did mention your blog, and the blog is a big part of who you are, obviously. Tell us when you started that, and more importantly, why you started that. Because artists, I think, guys, if you're an artist, I think a blog is really important. Why is it important to you?
I think, you know, in social media in particular, you're bombarded by so much information.
Yeah.
We're kind of coming back to that a little bit.
Yeah.
You're flooded with stuff. So I think it's an amazing thing for an artist to have just a steady stream of just their content. I know that whenever I'm, like, digging into this record and I just want to know more, man, I need a resource for that stuff.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I like to provide with my blog is, I update pretty regularly with, some little Easter eggs about things and try to like cue people in on what I'm writing about a little bit here and there. Sometimes I have some pretty extensive, reporting about things that are just going on in my life. And that gives people a little bit of insight about what I'm actually writing about. There's also a part of my website, the music section of our website, that includes liner notes, video, and just a lot of behind the scenes stuff of each one of my releases.
Right.
And people can get access to that by becoming one of my patrons over on patreon.com, patreon.com/thisintangible-existence. And so they will get a password and complete access to all of that stuff, so they can really kind of dive in. I have this one fan of mine who consistently asks me regular questions about the music, and sometimes I feel like it's a little just kind of separating from where the music actually is. Whenever you tell them, well, I was here, and this is what this line meant, it really destroys the allure of what the song is. And so this is a way for artists to kind of get in, fans and listeners to kind of go in and just like see what's available, see where I was, and just get some perspective.
Yeah, it's just an incredible concept. It's a good way of creating content that's real, again, raw, organic, and let people know. And it's cultivating relationships with your fan base, which is uber important. God, it's so important to an artist. If you're an artist out there and you don't have a relationship with your fan base, you're doing it wrong. Just saying. Calling you out. So you just have to sit around, and the thing that he is so good at is just thinking outside the box, and you're always thinking. And that's why I said earlier in the show that I know you're smart, because you're always thinking. When are you not thinking?
I was talking with Miriam about this not too long ago. There's just that part, I wanted, after the release of Lamps, which was my latest single, I really wanted to take a break. And I didn't. I was going to. We talked about it for a while.
There's no breaks for people like us, man.
It doesn't stop.
There's no off switch.
It doesn't. The creative mind does not stop. It's true. Continuously going.
Yep.
And, which, in some ways I'm thankful for, in some ways I'm not.
On there. Yeah.
But, and the thing about it too is that what I've realized is that not everybody is a creative, not everybody is an artist, and so it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about biannual music earlier in the show.
Yeah.
And I know that makes you unique as well, and I know your part of your strategy is to be as unique as possible. I feel that from you. I know that's true. So the biannual music, I want to ask you, because I know the positive aspects of that is to always have new stuff for your fans.
Yeah.
But where is your balance as far as having new stuff, the other side of the coin being oversaturation? So what's your balance there?
Well, I think to avoid oversaturation with this biannual release strategy that I've had going on, what I do is I release basically just new singles once, or EPs, if you will. Sometimes the EPs will include all new music. Sometimes where, at the end, in the fall of 2017, I released the Dark Water EP, and all of those tracks were brand new.
Wow.
It was about 5 tracks, and that's where the River Hymn was featured.
Right.
And but in the spring of this year, I got to release his Precipice EP, which coincided with the Lamps single release, and I loved it so much because it was really a throwback to that 90s, when you had singles. But
totally new to you.
Yeah, it was like you'd get that maxi release, and it would have some remixes and just some extra content that really isn't new material. It's just other material. And so one of the great things that was on his Precipice EP was the River Hymn Savor Cool edit.
Wow.
One night me and Miriam and Savor Cool were all in the studio, and we were just going to make a quick YouTube video, and it turned into an all-out recording session with drums, guitar, bass, Miriam on keys.
Richard playing everything, I'm
Richard
sure.
playing everything. I totally stayed off. I didn't know music. And so, it was just so cool. It was so magical. You know, it really has that sailing kind of late 70s vibe, and it's really different from everything else that I've done because most of my stuff is acoustic piano.
Yeah.
So I really liked that was something that I got to feature.
Very, very vibey though.
Yeah,
it was
vibey.
so yeah.
It's vibey.
That's a new word. Look it up. You won't find nothing. It's not in the dictionary. It is in my dictionary. The Bostonary.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we're gonna call it. The Bostonary.
Yeah.
Yes, we got this. So we're sitting here with this Intangible Existence. He mentioned the single Lamps. Now, the first time I heard this song, it was jaw-dropping for me. It was just a completely different you, man. Honestly, just the emotion behind the song. I know that's something that's important to you, but for some reason with this song, it reached me more. Did this song have a special meaning to you?
Yes, of course. The you know, I don't want to give away everything. I was, you know, in a very different place a few years ago in 2015, early 2016. I really wanted to talk about the Lord. You know, I really wanted to talk about the gospel, and I really wanted to talk about what was going on in my life and just how things were just kind of changing all of a sudden, and how do you do that, you know? And ultimately, what came out was Lamps, and you know, as a piano player, you do things where it's like you avoid playing in C because that's the easy key, and you know, and it's just like it came out in C and all this, you know, all this really simple chord structure and all this kind of stuff, and man, it took forever for it to come together. It had to really bake inside of the proverbial oven of this intangible existence, and whenever it was time, you know, I was at the songwriting circle where I met Kelly, and we I presented that to them, and I was the last person to present that night, I think, and it was everybody was that's all they were talking about. So, and I have a video of that talk on my YouTube channel, and so I knew whenever it happened that it was really going to pull the whole idea of what I've been doing in a different direction, and I recognize that completely.
Good.
And I knew that was happening before, but it just seemed to keep happening. Every song that was to be released, and you know, you'll be the first person to know this. The thing that's coming out in the fall is going to do that again, and so it keeps happening, and you know, and that's what recording on a biannual basis does, or has done for me, is that it really just. It has regulated the artistic machine.
Keeps your cup filled.
It keeps the cup filled, and as soon as it's done, it dumps and it starts filling up again.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Honestly. It just might mean that your cup fills up quicker than others, and that's why you have to...
I think it's helped. I really think it's helped, and it's just kept me steady. And, you know, in the spring, whenever I was done with Lamps, and I was, you know, getting everything set up to be distributed and everything, I wanted to take this break. It didn't happen because the cup started filling back up, man.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
You know.
Yeah, there are no breaks for people like us. But we are going to feature Lamps, the single that we're talking about, the story that he just told. You guys will not believe this. It's live right here in the ETX Rocks living room, featuring this Intangible Existence. The song is called Lamps. Y'all check it out.
Is this the beginning? Let me not be coy. That I speak from my heart and forget all the parts when I used to be a boy. A man on a ledge of his precipice, who only your emotions and disregard your experience. Remove your rhetoric in your manuscripts, in your ignorance. And also your hearts, and call on his name and repent and forget what you've been counting on, 'cause everybody's waiting on the sons of God manifest. Manuscripts in your ignorance, and fold your cards and also your hearts, and call on his name and repent and forget what you've been counting on, 'cause everybody's waiting on the sons of God manifest. So don't be led idle and make sure you trim. So don't be led idle.
All right, so we are back. You guys were listening to Lamps by This Intangible Existence. Incredible song. One of my favorites. I think it is my favorite song you've ever done. I think I told you that off camera.
Yeah. You were pretty excited.
I love
You're
the
like,
song.
are you playing Lamps? Like,
Yeah. Well, he was playing Lamps. He just, even if he wasn't, he was playing Lamps. You weren't leaving here without playing Lamps. But yeah, we're sitting here with Terrell Brindley. This Intangible Existence from thisintangibleexistence.com.
Yeah.
And I know you have a YouTube, all this other stuff. Tell everybody where they can follow along with what you have going on.
So what I would really love is if everybody would go follow me on Spotify. You can find me at This Intangible Existence. You can also find both of this show and the first episode of the ETX Rock show that I was on Spotify.
So excited about that,
it's an amazing thing. So follow me on Spotify. My website is www.thisintangibleexistence.com. You can find me on YouTube and what else? Instagram, Twitter, all at This Intangible Existence.
You haven't hopped on MySpace yet?
Maybe back in 2004, but and if you're really interested in it, if you've seen what I've done and you like what I do, I would really love it if you go support me over on patreon.com/thisintangibleexistence. I have a lot of really awesome content that you can get involved in, anything from $1 a month to $10 a month.
Yeah, Patreon is cool. We thought about trying that. And you never know, I might try to bring... We do have a Patreon. I just haven't really used it yet.
We'll see.
Maybe you and I will talk and come up with some ideas. You going to do more interviews for us?
We'll see. I have a couple of things in the shoot. Been working with Saber Cool a lot lately, and he's been in the studio lately, so I really wanted to kind of cover his whole thing.
I'd be okay with that. We have not had Richard on the show yet.
Richard's been needing to get on the show, so maybe you'll see something from me soon.
That would be
I haven't completely given up on the interview thing.
All right,
so
cool.
We'll see.
You're a fantastic interviewer.
Thank you.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
I was very impressed.
Thank you.
It's like, man, like I'm watching your interviews and I'm like, okay, so what I would ask next is, well, there he goes. All right. Okay. All right. You got this. All right. Because when someone else is interviewing in my presence, I'm that armchair quarterback. I've done this so much that I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, all right, the natural question next would be, oh, well, all right. Okay, got this. Good. I'm good. But typically, like, if Louise is interviewing somebody, I'll be like, hey, baby, you should ask. And she's like, I know, I got this. All right. I'll sit over here and look pretty.
Yeah.
Not really.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, not at all. The beard helps.
It does.
For sure. Especially when we finally trimmed the beard, okay? Stop commenting about the beard. Seriously. I know it was becoming like an alfalfa field. I don't know who commented that. I don't even know who you are. But hashtag alfalfa field, really? Come on now. Come on. It's trimmed. You like it now? Comment down below. Beard love. I don't know what it is, but you know the reason why I have a beard is because I don't like 50 chins.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad enough I have a donut here or a muffin or whatever they call that.
Yeah.
So a donut bottom or a muffin top.
Extra.
One of the two, right?
Extra.
Yeah. Extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. See, that's all it is. Hashtag extra.
Yeah. Alfalfa fields.
Yeah. Oh, just to be specific, the show is not called Extra. That's a completely different show.
Right.
Like if I had their budget,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the host.
Right.
I'm just saying. I'm far cheaper than whoever hosts Extra, I think.
I think it's Slater from Saved by the Bell, I think.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, instead of Slater, we'd probably get Dustin Diamond.
Oh,
you know?
man, no.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's the kind of budget I have.
Yeah.
We have the Dustin Diamond budget. Screech. That's what we got.
Yeah.
We can afford Screech almost. If you donate.
Yeah.
If you want to see Screech on the show, donate. I'll tell you how in a minute. But it's thisintangibleexistence.com. Y'all check that out. It'll be in the description down below, so all you got to do is click on that. I know you can get to your social media through the webpage as well.
Yeah, everything's linked up.
Spotify and YouTube, very important to this guy, so make sure you're hitting follow and subscribe there.
Yeah.
It's completely free to do that.
Yeah.
Again, if you hit the button twice, though, I cannot promise that he won't charge you. So don't hit the follow or subscribe button twice. Not a good thing to do. Don't be that guy. Right?
Right.
Because then they unsubscribe.
Exactly.
That's not cool.
That's
called like getting your hopes up.
Yeah, like
you go from 1,412 subscribers to 1,413. You're like, yeah, I hit 1,413. Then someone unsubscribed. Yeah, and you're like, damn, right back where I was 30 seconds ago. How am I going to get ahead in this content creating world?
Exactly.
So don't be that guy. And apparently there's a bell now on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't really get it. But
Did you hear about this bell?
Yeah, but I don't bell. I don't bell.
I don't bell either. Like someone told me live on the air, and I was like, "There's a bell."
But ring that bell. Punch that subscribe button. Ring that bell.
Yeah, apparently if you click the bell, something good happens.
Yeah.
So, click the bell. Let me know down below what happens.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you'll get like a Klondike bar or something. I almost said that correctly.
Yeah.
Klondike bar.
What would you do?
I would do anything. It's Texas. It's like 175,000 degrees.
It is.
Klondike bar, like, yeah, it would go well.
Right, exactly.
Although, I mean, have you ever seen one of those melt?
It's tragic. They're tragic to eat, period. I'm not big on ice cream bars.
I'm not either. I like the big tubs of ice cream. As long as they're not, like, filled with listeria.
I'm a Bluebell kind of guy.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that whole listeria outbreak, and people were like, "Who cares, man? It's Bluebell.
Yeah,
give me mine filled with listeria."
I was glad when it came back. We were actually eating some cherries and cream or something like that.
I like the what is it? Millennium.
Millennium.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta have chunks in my ice cream.
Yeah,
where the hell are we at, Tara?
I'm a cookies and cream kind of guy. That's where we are. Yeah.
We just went from MySpace to ice cream, y'all. That's called Back to the Future. But again, it's thisintangibleexistence.com. Make sure you're following along. Subscribe, follow, like, all of those things. Very important to an artist, especially a creative artist like Terrell.
Yeah.
Terrell.
Don't give it away.
Man, if you guys are watching us for the first time, I definitely want to thank you guys out there. Also, I should probably point out, and I'm going to start pointing out, if you're listening on audio, this show is also available in live, high-definition video on YouTube. So if you're on Spotify, you're on any of our audio platforms, you guys can check us out on YouTube as well, and you'll see what we look like.
Yeah, exactly.
And at least half of us looks really good today. I'll let you all decide which half.
It changes that.
It does. It really does. Next time we see each other, it'll probably be me that looks good.
Who knows?
We'll just have to get you after a bender.
But that's what kind of bender?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, all right.
Caffeine,
Caffeine,
nicotine.
Yeah, just after a day of work, I look like,
so we're gonna schedule him after a
7.
double, so that I look better. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like Terrell, are you working a double that day? You're not. Okay. What?
Right.
When are you working? Okay,
I'll
you can come that
then.
day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he'll have to work a double, then a 4-hour drive up to Longview, and then and only then will I look better than this intangible existence.
Well, we'll work on that. Well, the show's putting out so much content these days. I mean, it'd just be another thing to add to.
Yeah, we'll just. All right, so if you are watching or tuned into us for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you'd follow along with our journey. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're located at ETX Rocks. I know, super original. Yeah. It's at ETX Rocks. We're on YouTube, finally on Spotify after 2 years of episodes. Super, super stoked about that. And honestly, it's because of you guys out there that we were even considered for Spotify. Every time you guys click on our content, it makes those places want us more. So make sure you're doing that. I haven't been asking enough, but if you're watching on iTunes, good luck with that. If you're listening on iTunes, hit that rate button. And give us 5 stars.
Leave a comment.
Yeah.
It really
or
helps.
A review. A review would be good too.
With those robot algorithms.
Absolutely. Robots are bad. Unless you're Will Smith. And that's a little bit different.
Yeah, you can handle it.
Yeah, I think his wife's a robot.
Who's his wife?
Mrs. Smith?
Jada. Jada.
Yes. Yes, yeah. Mrs. Smith.
Jada Pickett.
Oh, man.
I'm going to set it off.
Is she a robot?
I don't know. And set it off, she's the only one that lives, so.
Probably because she's related to Will Smith.
I don't know if they were married then, but.
Well, she lived.
Yeah, she did. She did.
So, yeah, whatever I was talking about, do that. People are like, where is he at? I'm in Longview, Texas. Yes, I am. So, yeah, definitely rate and review us on iTunes. That'll help us out as well. I think the last time we got a review was like a year ago. So, the next person that reviews us on iTunes, we are sitting August 4th, 2018.
Yeah.
So the next review that I get on iTunes, I will give you a free CD.
Hey, and then you just got a bunch of my merch. So
that's right. So it could be one of his CDs.
Exactly.
So review us. Be the first. I will give you a CD. And I'll just reach out somehow and say, hey, give me your address, and I'll send you something.
Yeah.
And it'll be musical, so don't worry about that other stuff. For sure. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. That's the best way you can help us out. Hit the bell. Let us know in the comments down below what the bell does. So that way I don't sound stupid on camera. So hit the bell. Do that. Actually, I do know what the bell does. What it does is it notifies you when we have new content. So subscribe, hit the bell. You'll know when we have new stuff. And that's a good thing if you're a music fan. Because guess what, on YouTube, we're about to hit 1,400 videos on YouTube.
Yes,
imagine that, 1,400. Yes. Also, we are completely self-funded on the show, which means we are low budget. And I put the emphasis on the word low in that word, low budget.
No.
Yeah, we have Walmart lamp trees. And
nice.
One of them has multicolored, so
nice.
we were going for like a concert feel.
Yeah,
with that
don't
one.
give it away, man.
I'm not gonna. No, this is not a Red Hot Chili Peppers video at all. Give it away, give it away. No, don't do that. It'll copyright me. Right. My bad, Flea. My bad. Is Flea still with them?
I think
Anyway, we are low budget, so we've set up a donate link if you guys would like to help us out. That's located at www.paypal.me/ETXRocks, and you can send us any form of currency except Bitcoin.
Yeah. Inflation rates are down, so I just wouldn't. Don't worry about it.
And of course, the director of the show, producer of the show, will not take any more Robert De Niro either.
Yeah.
I understand Joe Pesci and Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson, people like that are completely cool. No De Niro.
And the dad jokes you got, they're just like, it's a lot.
What are you talking about?
What am I talking
truthful
about?
here. We used to take Robert De Niro.
Yeah. All right. In DVD form.
No, VHS. We wanted his good stuff, man. None of his good stuff is on DVD at all, except Meet the Parents.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's because of your donations out there that we have launched a brand new webpage. You can find that at www.etxrocks.show. Remember, it's .show, not .com. You don't want to go to those other people.
Yeah.
If they even exist. I'm assuming they do. But so .show. And you're going to find over 11,000 hours of content on that webpage.
Yeah.
You'll see our calendar of live music events all across East Texas. Check it out. Come out and say hi to us. We will say hi in return for a small fee.
For small.
So just go, hi, Boston. Give me a $3 bill, and we'll say hi, too.
Exactly. Not Bitcoin, though.
No. Well, Bitcoins are real. $3 bills are not. So
Right.
there is that. So check out the webpage for sure. And as we always say on the ETX Rock Show, we want to thank you guys out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles. And don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
That's right. Thank you all for tuning in.
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks. ETX